listening to Ring Chronicles with Lance Vaughn and Glenn Ritchie.
All right, man, we're back. How's it going?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad. It took us a little while to get started tonight. But,
yeah, we had some stuff.
We are rolling though. And yeah, what do we got tonight?
I don't have any errors or omissions.
No errors or omissions? Yeah, I guess I don't either.
What about the Lariat of Hate?
I think we do have some Lariat of Hate. I believe you have one you want to share.
Yeah. Can you pull up the quote?
Yeah.
I don't remember the quote exactly. I remember the gist of it. By the way, if we get comments about my being fat. and I feel like those are that's some good heat right there.
Yeah.
If I'm getting comments about being fat, I mean, I think I'm striking a nerve there.
Yeah.
If you resort to like childhood name calling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope for the sake of humanity, these people are like 12.
No, they're in their 30s and they're avid AEW fans. And they can tell you every wrestler that wrestles in New Japan.
Okay, so a couple comments here. The first one was So just to recap, the video was based on the Lariat of Hate from last week, where somebody said that the Lucha Brothers were the most over thing that AEW had.
So would this be the Lariat of Hate of the Lariat of Hate?
I think it is a Lariat of Hate. We got a chain reaction going here.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can keep this up. So anyway, the first comment was, "And who the fuck are you, huh?" You see, that's why I just hope that this guy's 12. I mean, god damn. I mean, look, anybody who reports on wrestling is never as big as the wrestlers themselves. So that comment doesn't make sense.
It's common sense.
Yeah. Okay, and then the next comment was, "And he's overweight, but he's talking about someone being over."
That was a little creative. You know what I mean?
A little.
Well,
I mean, one was like 4th grade, and then this one was like 8th grade.
Well, if I'm overweight, does that mean I know about being over then? Like, I'm over all the time.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. But, yeah, that was...
I mean, shoot. Sometimes I got more pounds than they've got thousands of viewers.
You're right. Oh, man. Well, I mean, there you go.
So if getting 1,000 viewers was easy as getting a pound, I could probably tell them how to do something.
Yeah. All right. So unless you saw some other comments, I think that was all for Lariat of Hate.
All for Lariat of Hate.
Yeah.
Well, we watched the pay-per-view.
Yeah, Full Gear.
Full Gear.
Yep.
The first match on the pre-show was Eddie Kingston defeated Jay Lethal.
That was for the Ring of Honor title, I believe.
I barely remember that match. That's not a good sign. Claudio defeated Buddy Matthews by submission. And my thought about that was that Claudio was on the pre-show when he used to be like holding championships and fighting at WrestleMania.
Right.
MJF and Samoa Joe defeated the Guns by submission, and then MJF got injured during that match. Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland with Ric Flair defeated the Patriarchy. I don't remember much about that match aside from the face paint. That's not a good sign. Probably got 5.5 stars or some shit. Orange Cassidy defeated John Moxley by pinfall. It was what you would think that match would be.
Yeah.
That's about all I got to say about it. Timeless Tony Storm defeated Hikaru Shida. Hikaru Shida, right?
Hikaru Shida. Yeah.
Shida. I'm just going to say Shida.
Shida. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Shida. botched, finished.
Yeah.
You could plainly see the metal plate that she had in her trunks.
Yeah.
Dave Meltzer probably gave it 80 stars.
80, at least.
Ricky Starks and Big Bill defeated Rush and Dralistico. FTR and the Kings of the Black Throne.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good match.
Yeah.
Okay, this was one of my favorite matches. Julia Hart defeated Chris Statlander. Lance is laughing. It has nothing to do with how attractive Julia Hart is. Although it doesn't hurt.
Oh man, yeah.
And Sky Blue.
Yep.
Julia Hart's just over with me. Like,
yep.
I'm over with, I'm just glad she won the match.
Yeah.
It was a good match.
Yeah.
No like botches or anything. Now here's one that I struggle with a little bit. Okay, this got 5 stars. Swerve Strickland defeated Hangman Adam Page in a Texas death match. There was a DDT on a cinder block, staple gun, barbed wire, Adam Page drinking Swerve Strickland's blood.
Yeah.
What is it in AEW about people biting each other where they're bleeding at and getting blood in their mouth? Like, it isn't like do they blood test these guys before the matches? Please tell me they do.
Maybe they're all vampires.
I mean, maybe Adam Page is a vampire. I mean, I personally think drinking blood has no place in wrestling.
Maybe Adam Page was low on iron.
Maybe. I just don't think it has any place in wrestling. With that being said, I do not think it was a 5-star match. I do not think it was Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. I will agree with one. His justification for the 5-star match is a good one.
Okay.
In that, I don't know if he said it's the best or one of the best. I think he said the best death match he's ever seen. I don't know if it's the best death match I've ever seen, but it's probably within the top 2, if not the best.
Okay, so this is something we can kind of go back a little bit, something we've talked about before because we kind of went over death matches.
Yes.
And your biggest complaint was that they don't look like a competition. It's just 2 guys taking turns hitting each other with different things.
That match did not look that way to me.
Yeah, I agree.
That match did not look that way to me.
Yeah.
They weren't just standing, taking turns, stapling each other. It looked like an actual fight between 2 individuals.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was it didn't look overly cooperative. I mean, it was just a good match for that style of match.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, do I prefer that style? Do I like it?
Probably not.
No. But if you mentioned that I didn't trust people today to do a death match like what, the kind of stuff they did in like an ECW and stuff like that.
Right.
In Japan with Mick Foley and Terry Funk and all that. These guys can do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, they did a better death match than anything I've seen John Moxley ever do as far as death match wrestling.
Right.
And they certainly have done a better death match than anything I've ever seen that one dude with the missing teeth that went to jail for prison or whatever for robbing a bank or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
That guy should have nothing to do with wrestling at all. These 2 guys actually put on a decent death match. Mm-hmm. So props where props are due. The Golden Jets defeated the Young Bucks. So I'm always glad when the Young Bucks lose. And then MJF came back and defeated Jay White. MJF did the injured face thing.
Yeah.
Fighting with an injury.
Yeah.
And he did it well. Sold it.
I can't get over that. What was the point of it?
Jay White stole his belt. That was the point of it.
I guess, whatever.
So that is our thoughts on Full Gear. Lance, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I mentioned this to you a couple weeks ago. That this wasn't on the podcast. This was just like while we were texting. But I was talking about having a segment where we go over attendance and viewers and all that stuff.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
WWE
yeah.
and AEW. I don't have any WWE numbers, but I was very interested in the Full Gear numbers. I believe they did just over 13,000 in attendance, and they had over 100,000 buys on the pay-per-view.
100,000 buys.
Yeah. So this was very good. This was in Los Angeles, and I mentioned it before, but because we were talking about how if you looked on Ticketmaster, there were hardly any seats left. So I had a feeling that the attendance was going to be pretty good. And it looks like the only empty seats were on the hard camera side, and I don't think there were that many. Although they still avoided to show the hard camera side, so I guess they don't want to show any empty seats at all.
So 100,000 times $50.
Yeah,
that's $5 million.
Yeah, but this was a lot better than Wrestle Dream.
Yeah,
where you had like maybe 7,000, and I don't know what the buy rate for that was.
And it does make up for Collision, which was in the 200,000.
Yeah, that's the one that went up against SmackDown, isn't it? The day before. Okay, yeah. So that was a good show. I don't know if you can point. I don't know how you point to one thing and say that's why they had better attendance. Maybe LA is a good market for them. And this was in a big arena. It was, I believe the house seats are somewhere around 16 to 18,000, somewhere in there. And for the wrestling configuration, over 13,000 is pretty good. So that's, I don't know. I guess it's looking up maybe, but we'll see.
Maybe so. All right. So today's topic, this is going to be a critique.
Okay.
Of the Attitude Era.
Okay.
And I want to start off by saying that there were some things that were absolutely great and amazing about the Attitude Era. But
yeah,
I don't want to spend too much time talking about that because you already know about those things.
Right.
You remember those things.
Yeah.
You remember Steve Austin with the beer truck spraying, the McMahons with the beer hose. You remember Rock versus Austin. You remember Hell in the Cell with Foley and Undertaker.
Yeah.
You remember all of this great stuff that came out of the Attitude Era, okay?
Yep.
But I guarantee you forgot about some of the really stupid, dumb crap. And your nostalgia about the Attitude Era is preventing you from looking at the Attitude Era for what it really was, which is that it was not the greatest era of professional wrestling.
Well, I think that depends on what you're looking at, though.
Depends on what you're looking at. Now, see, here's the
thing. If you're
thing.
talking about how much money it drew and the fans it drew, I don't think any other time can compete with it.
Money, actually, the WWE is doing better right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Over how many? Okay, but you gotta block it off and say, okay, from this year to this year was the Attitude Era. So, I mean,
I'm speaking more of like the financial wealth of the WWE.
Okay.
Right now,
okay,
is the best it has ever been.
Okay.
That was in part due to the Attitude Era of generating a lot of interest and pretty much saving the WWE from complete annihilation. But they were, I mean, they went from like a really dark place to doing well, but they weren't swimming in the same amount of money they are swimming in now. Okay. I mean, think about how much money the Saudis have given the WWE. I mean, it's just an insane amount of money that they're getting from different sources right now. So financially speaking, the WWE is doing the best it's ever done of all time.
Okay.
So if we look at things financially, right now is the best time in wrestling. Financially, okay. I don't think finances is what makes the wrestling era the greatest. Okay. If you want to look at quality of matches, the Attitude Era was not the best.
No, not at all. Not at all.
90-second matches, foolishness all the time, just crap. Okay, interruptions. and everything was geared towards the pay-per-view. So
absolutely,
everything was getting you to buy the pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
So you never got a good satisfied, big match satisfactory on Raw, except for occasionally.
That's why there were hardly any matches on TV, because they were all on the pay-per-view.
Yeah. It was all about entertainment. It was all about doing the promos and all that. Okay, the promos were better. Yes, when the stars were doing them, go back and actually watch some of the old Attitudes. A lot of the roster couldn't do a promo worth a damn. So that doesn't mean that the promos were better either. The writing was better. Sometimes it was terrible.
The writing, the writing, I don't know. The writing now, for all I know, could be better. But I think overall, as far as the talent executing what's been written, was better in the Attitude Era overall, from what I've seen.
Well, I think that's because there's one thing the Attitude had that we don't have today, and we haven't had, which is star power.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't get bigger than The Rock and Austin.
Yeah.
You had The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. Even the mid card was something else. But let's bring up some things about the Attitude Era. I'm using an article. It's a GameStop article, a GameSpot article. There was a character called Beaver Cleavage, which was based off of Leave It to Beaver, and he lusted after his mother, who came with him to the ring. Okay, Yamaguchi-san was screaming at Val Venus. And if you quote this, make sure you quote it in context. I'm quoting what he said.
Okay.
If you quote it on social media, I don't want to be accused of being a fascist, racist person. He said, "I choppy your pee-pee," before taking a swing at Val Venus with a sword.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember that.
The Big Boss Man being hung in Hell in the Cell. And then it talks about the Divas.
Mm-hmm.
Pudding bowl matches.
Yeah.
McMahon making Divas strip to keep their jobs.
Yep.
Bra and panty matches.
Yeah, I saw that clip. I saw a clip of the other day of Vince McMahon making Trish Stratus walk around on all fours and bark like a dog.
Yeah. DX, when feuding with the Nation of Domination, wearing blackface. Oh, there was also a feud between the Nation of Domination and white supremacists.
Okay.
I don't remember their names. Katie Vick.
Why did you bring that up? Come on.
That's
like a low blow.
It was a part of the Attitude Era.
I know it was. Oh my God.
So for people that don't remember what Katie Vick was.
Oh my God. Oh no.
Basically, Triple H was feuding with Kane for no reason. Triple H told the world that he knew Kane's secret.
Yeah.
Was that he murdered his ex-girlfriend, Katie Vick.
Yeah.
Kane admitted that Katie was killed in a car accident while Kane was driving drunk.
Yeah.
He swerved to miss a deer in the rain, and suddenly his fictional girlfriend was dead because the masked half-brother of The Undertaker, whose father was a supernatural mortician, because all that makes sense. It goes further.
Oh,
Triple H dressed as Kane in a pre-taped segment and went to Katie Vick's funeral where he had sex with a mannequin in a casket. This was on television.
I know.
He also had his own pre-taped segment in which someone wore a Triple H mask while getting rectal surgery. So this is just some examples. Stephanie McMahon gets kidnapped by The Undertaker.
Oh, this again.
Okay, she's a victim.
Yeah.
She also, when she's supposed to get married to Test, Triple H shows footage of her being drugged up.
Yeah.
And going through a drive-through wedding in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're married, and that ruins the wedding.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Someone corrected me. I thought it was 6 months later. It was actually
that was me.
It was 8 months later. She becomes the evil empress, and decided that, hey, I'm evil. I'm evil anyways.
Well, you see what had happened was she got infected by the evil from the Undertaker, which caused her to turn on her father and marry the guy that drugged her.
So the fact that you can't even explain that with a straight face is yeah.
Oh.
It's
You know what though? At the time I loved it.
yeah. Well, at the time I loved a lot of it,
Yeah.
but I was a teenage boy.
But there have been, I haven't watched that thing specifically, but I have gone back and watched old promos from that time, or just old, whatever, and angles, whatever. And it's not as good as I remember. It was, I think at the time, it was just something new. It was something nobody had ever seen before. Nobody had ever presented wrestling that way.
I will agree to that.
So, wrestling fan or not, you had never seen that before on TV. So
Yeah.
It was it was something else.
So but it was bad. I prepare for the shocker, Lance.
Okay.
I think the average AEW wrestling program
Okay.
is of better quality
Okay.
than your average episode of Raw or SmackDown during the Attitude Era.
Well, absolutely. It's two different. Those programs could not be any more opposite.
yeah.
I mean, what AEW presents is way different.
Yeah.
Way different.
I think, well,
They have wrestling matches.
I
They don't have time to have, an evil empress.
with the exception of Monday Night Raw, I would say the average WWE production is better than anything in the Attitude Era. I can't watch Raw unless I watch the Hulu version or I fast forward it. It's too much. They can't fill 3 hours with a quality program. It's terrible. I like Dynamite more than Raw. I mean, it's just too much.
So are you saying that there's only one program that you like better than AEW?
No, I like
SmackDown?
NXT and SmackDown better than AEW.
Which is better, NXT or SmackDown in your opinion?
NXT, well, at the moment, I'd have to say SmackDown.
Okay.
NXT traditionally. NXT
Okay.
has been my preference for almost a very long time. But NXT has had a dip in quality since about 2020, and SmackDown's really picked up lately.
Okay.
And I think the large part of why SmackDown's picked up is because of LA Knight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So the only thing that keeps Raw going is Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
and the Judgment Day. So if it weren't for them, it'd be pretty bad off.
Man, watching those clips from Raw this past Monday, it was. That's why I was texting you about this. The backstage promos were just absolutely cringy. I could not watch it. It was awful, and I made a conscious effort to compare that to Dynamite this past Wednesday and to watch their promos and see how well it flows. In AEW, everybody that I saw on Wednesday, their promos just flowed a lot better and felt a lot more natural.
Well, yeah,
It's
because
being
it's not
forced
Yeah.
out of their mouths. But I believe there was 2 segments where it was mostly Rhea and Priest having a conversation. Then Drew McIntyre walked in at some point, and everything they were saying was just forced. And it's like I could see in Damian Priest's eyes him like looking up, trying to memorize his lines.
Okay.
That's what it looked like.
So this is the problem with modern wrestling today. In the WWE, you have wrestlers doing bad promos for storylines and angles that make sense. And in AEW, you have wrestlers doing good promos for storylines and angles that are either completely absent or make no sense at all. How many times have you gotten into a good AEW storyline and like was sold on it? Barring Adam Copeland and Christian, which are basically they brought in their WWE training to do that.
I've been hooked on anything MJF has done because he makes it work.
MJF is an exception.
You asked if I've been hooked on anything else, if I've been drawn in by any other storylines, and yes, everything that MJF has done.
Although you didn't buy Jay
attention.
White.
Huh?
You didn't buy in the Jay White angle.
I don't buy into the whole stolen belt thing. I think that was stupid. But his promos and the attempts to get the belt back were entertaining to me. As a whole, the whole reason behind the angle was that his belt was stolen was stupid. There should have been more to it. It should have been deeper than that.
Okay, so
and if it would have been deeper, that would have only helped Jay White, not necessarily MJF.
So right now, you have access to better wrestling than you did during the Attitude Era.
Absolutely. No argument there at all.
Promos.
It depends on who it is.
I think the Attitude Era wins on promos.
Yeah.
Storylines. Hit and miss.
Yeah.
With the Attitude Era. Treatment of women and minorities, terrible.
Oh, yeah, awful. Absolutely.
I mean, one of the most over black people was a pimp. Yeah. Which, granted, I love that character, and I still love that character. But, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Well,
overall, they tried to make everything as adult as possible. I mean, you had a pimp and a porn star.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, you got to think about what was going on in WCW during these days. So, WCW had a more PG product, and the WWE went off the rails with all this stuff. So, you eventually saw WCW trying to catch up with WWE, and they got edgier and edgier. And this is where you had them hiring Vince Russo. The guy that likes Vince Russo could probably tell us about that, about him going into WCW and being given like unrestrained power to do Judy Bagwell on a pole matches. You had the finger poke of doom. You had wrestlers going out just dropping every curse word you can imagine, breaking the fourth wall. Just openly. I mean, just kayfabe just shot. I mean, taken out the back and just shot. And it was terrible. Yeah. It was so terrible. And see, that's part of the problem with the Attitude Era was it's like the same thing with the deathmatch wrestling to me now. There's only so far that you can take it. And look what happened. Look at the match with Mick Foley and The Rock. Well, The Rock just pelted Mick Foley and gave him probably took years off of his career.
Probably.
With all those stiff headshots to his head with a steel chair in front of his family, of all things. Yeah. Why was that needed? You know, the Hell in the Cell match, I love it and I appreciate it. But that probably took years off of his career. Why do we do that? And that's the thing that I see in AEW. Wrestlers doing dangerous things. And that's the problem. When you take things as far as it can get, there's a point of like no return. Yeah. And so what we had happen in wrestling was concussions being just part of the business and being treated, kind of very laissez-faire. And next thing you know, we had a tragedy that happened with Chris Benoit, and one of the explanations that was given, not to defend Chris Benoit, what he did was just atrocious, but one of the contributing factors to that that has been used to say this is one of the things that contributed to what he did was the chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And then suddenly everything changed, and we're banning pile drivers, we're banning headshots with steel chair in the WWE. We went to the PG. Now, part of that was also Linda McMahon's political aspirations.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think part of it was also the WWE responding to the head injury scandal that was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And so
there was a lot of that happening at the time.
Yeah. You know, the situation with Chris Benoit had a permanent impact on wrestling. And it's just, you can't defend what the guy did, but if we can learn something from it and make things safer for wrestlers, that's a good thing. And, you know, it's just like, you know, if you learn how to prevent crime, you should do it. Now, like in the WWE, you don't see pile drivers, you don't see people getting hit in the head with chairs, but you see suicide dives, you see moonsaults off the top rope to the floor, you see all these other dangerous moves that are going to lead to other injuries and have led to other injuries. And so, you know, what's next? I mean, my God, Randy Orton is coming back from a career-ending potential injury. First thing they do, they're going to throw him into War Games.
War Games, yeah.
So, I mean, even the WWE is a lot safer than AEW, but even they take things. I saw Luchasaurus do, as soon as Adam Copeland got into AEW, like his first match, Luchasaurus did a tombstone pile driver on Adam Copeland.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Okay, I can do it safely. Yeah, but if there's a 0.00001% chance that move could go wrong, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that like just common sense that you protect a wrestler if they got a certain body part that's had a history of injury?
Just go for the move and then let him reverse it or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or just,
I mean, you can imply the move. Just, I mean, shit.
Yeah. I mean, it just, it makes no sense to me why they do that. And I saw the picture of it and I was just shaking my head. I said, why? Why are they doing that? I mean, the guy had a devastating neck injury.
I'm surprised he agreed to it because, I mean, that's the thing. He agreed to that move.
He
can say, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, they're going to, I mean, it's Adam Copeland. They're going to listen to him.
Yeah, I don't know why he did it either.
Yeah. I mean, I put that more on him than AEW or Luchasaurus or Tony Khan or anybody.
Well, it shouldn't have been done, no matter whichever where you want to draw the blame at on that. That's just reckless.
Yeah.
But the Attitude Era was reckless.
It was.
And the treatment of women was just absolutely terrible. When I was a young guy, I didn't even know women could actually wrestle.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it. There was hardly any women's wrestling in the 90s when I grew up watching it. The Attitude Era was terrible. You had Trish Stratus and Lita come around. But like what you see right now with the women's wrestlers in the WWE, unfathomable back then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Unfathomable. And... excuse me. Just like, and the rumor mill is big on women's wrestling now. Like you hear the rumor, Jade Cargill, the WWE don't like her, or having buyer's remorse. That's a bunch of hogwash. She's still training. She's still got plenty to learn. Yeah. Okay. Yep. And she's a phenomenal athlete. She's going to do well once she's properly trained. That's the thing that AEW didn't do with her. But women's wrestling back then was just treated so awful. And you did have a few shining stars, but there was only so much that they could do in that environment. So we've talked a lot about what the Attitude Era did terrible.
Yep.
What did they do right? Well, number one, they did what it took to get ratings.
Oh, yeah.
So, to some extent, that's justifiable. Maybe not to the extent that they took it. I mean, there were some low spots there where they took it to another level. I don't know if it was an Attitude Era. There was a lot of things that were just unnecessary. Like, I don't know if it was an Attitude Era shortly afterwards, but like Vince McMahon dropping the N-word. Like, why? Why did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
And why did he get a free pass to do it?
You're right. How did he get away with that?
But
yeah. I don't know.
And Hulk Hogan did it years later. Not to say it's right that he did it, but I mean, he was like pretty much banned from wrestling for a few years.
Yeah.
And McMahon did it on live TV. You did have a lot of things that came out of the Attitude Era. You had the Hardys, Edge and Christian.
By the way,
Dudley Boys.
By the way, the Vince McMahon saying the N-word, he said that right in front of Booker T.
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So you had great characters. You had The Rock. You had Stone Cold. I mean, Stone Cold. I mean, The Rock did a lot for wrestling, but I think Stone Cold really took it to the stratosphere, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like into space.
Yeah.
I even though it was only for a few years, I don't know of a wrestler that was more over than Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep. That's crazy when you think about it, because when, if you ask a lot of people who's the best wrestler ever, they're going to say Stone Cold, but then you stop and think, well, how long was he Stone Cold, and how long did that run last? It wasn't that long.
No, it wasn't. Well,
so does that make it even more impressive?
It does. It does. Also, a lot of title reigns didn't last long back then. The titles got spread around.
It got passed around
a lot. You wouldn't see Roman Reigns with 3 years with the belt or whatever.
Yeah.
In the Attitude Era. And personally, I think that's a good thing that they've slowed the roll on that. Titles should mean more.
Yeah.
But WCW made their titles worthless. They even reset their titles at one point.
Yeah, I remember
during this point in time. It was just so awful. The television title got thrown in the trash, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan picked it up and started defending it. I mean,
what?
Yeah.
What?
Yes, I think it was Scott Hall. He won the television title. He threw it in the trash. Hacksaw Jim Duggan had like a janitor gimmick, and he picked it up out of the trash. We need to get the guy that likes Vince Russo.
Yeah.
To come on to the podcast.
Yeah.
And talk with us about Vince Russo.
Yeah.
Because all that's Vince Russo. There was a scene I remember on Nitro where Randy Savage hit a female valet named Gorgeous George.
Yeah, I remember her.
It's nuts what happened on television back then in wrestling. It was obscene. Well, damn, I loved a lot of it.
Yeah.
I loved a lot of it. Was it the best era of wrestling? No. Okay. It was one of the better eras of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think the Ruthless Aggression era was better.
Wow. See, that's where it started to fade on me.
The Ruthless era, you had Eddie Guerrero, you had, unfortunately, Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
You had Rey Mysterio, Edge, doing the Rated R Superstar thing.
Yeah.
You started having guys like Batista and Randy Orton. Of course, John Cena coming in.
Yep.
It had Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair was part of that era. I mean, Hulk Hogan for a period of time, Brock Lesnar. I mean, you had a mixture of the best of back then with the best of now.
Yeah. But there was that ugly ass undisputed belt.
Yes. Yes. I saw a meme today. It had the old eagle belt, not the big eagle, but the old winged eagle belt.
Right.
It had
where the wings were hanging off the side of the belt.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It had the big gold belt.
Mm-hmm.
It had the spinner belt, and it had that undisputed belt.
Yeah.
That was ugly.
I also hated the spinner belt, by the way.
Yeah, I hated the spinner belt too, but it was which one of these has to go?
Yeah.
Most people said the spinner belt. Honestly, I hate that ugly undisputed belt more than I hate the spinner belt.
Yeah. I think so. I agree.
I mean, at least the spinner belt had like it was based on a character, you know,
Right.
kind of like how Austin had the Smoking Skull and The Rock had the Brahma Bull.
Yeah.
That's basically what the spinner belt was,
Right.
except for it remained the same.
Yeah.
When it went to other
changed
wrestlers,
hands. Yeah.
it just stopped spinning.
Yeah. It's just stopped spinning.
It just stopped spinning. They put some glue in there or something to keep it from spinning whenever like Randy Orton held the belt or whatever.
But
So-
but the undisputed belt, not only was it ugly, it didn't look like a big belt. Like it didn't look like it was the like I would not have if I didn't know, I would not have guessed that was the undisputed belt.
Yeah,
you know?
one of the things that was ugly was the globe. It had black for the water instead of blue.
Yeah.
Like, why do that?
I don't know.
I agree with you on that belt. Yeah, the Ruthless Aggression era was probably my favorite. I would say, aside from that, I would say 93 and halfway through 94 WCW.
Okay.
Was one of my favorite eras of professional wrestling,
Okay.
with the exception of the Cactus Jack, Lost, and whatever vignettes that they did, which were terrible.
Yeah.
I like almost all of WCW before Hogan. With there was some stupid stuff though, like the cage match where Abdullah the Butcher was put in what you call it, the electric shock chair or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had RoboCop help Sting. I mean,
They had what now?
They had
Excuse me?
RoboCop.
So was this when the movie came out, or
This was around that time, yeah.
so as a promotion, they had RoboCop show up in WCW
To help Sting.
Wow.
Surfer Sting.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to look it up. It's bad. It's really bad. It's bad.
Did RoboCop wrestle?
No.
What did he do?
No.
Just walk out there and hold a gun?
Gosh, I don't remember exactly what he did, but for some reason I associate it with that cage match or something another. Like he did something another, ripped up a door in a cage or a cell, or he did something another to help Sting. Okay, we got to look this up. Okay, during the segment, the Four Horsemen came to ringside to attack Sting, locking him in the steel cage that Jim Cornette had been confined to earlier in the night. Moments later, RoboCop ran off the Horseman and then pulled the door off the steel cage to release Sting. Yeah, there's Sting and RoboCop together.
I wish I didn't see that. If I just happened to like run across that, I would have said it was Photoshop. Because I'd have been like, no, that didn't happen.
That's AI.
Yeah.
That's AI. Yeah, here's some like promotional.
That's fucking awful.
Some promotional media.
Oh my God.
Yeah, RoboCop. Oh, here's him taking off the cell door to help Sting.
Oh my God.
Yeah, WCW did some. Okay, WCW did some stupid crap.
Yeah.
But there's always been stupid crap in wrestling. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can mock WCW for that kind of stuff, but look at what the WWF was doing around that time.
Okay.
Where everybody had like a job as their gimmick. You had a dentist, a trash man, an IRS person.
Yes.
You had a repo man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a prisoner. The only one that the only job gimmick of like a job occupation that survived was the Undertaker.
Yeah.
That one made it.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, that was the only like occupational trade career gimmick that made it through that era and persisted for ages was the Undertaker. The legacy of the Attitude Era. Well, I mean, we see it in how wrestling is different now. There's no pile drivers in WWE, for example. I see them in AEW. So I would say that the lessons of the Attitude Era are not as well learned in AEW as they are in the WWE. With that being said, the WWE talent has found ways to be dangerous without doing the band maneuvers.
Okay.
Here's the thing that I don't understand. You can't do a pile driver in the WWE, but you can do a Canadian destroyer. Adam Cole had that Canadian destroyer. I don't know what he calls it, but he jumps off the ropes and like lands on the opponent being bent over and then does the Canadian destroyer. He did that in NXT.
Maybe it's just because the Canadian destroyer is more flashy.
Yeah, maybe so. Or maybe it was NXT and Vince McMahon wasn't watching.
Maybe.
So, yeah, that's part of the issue with that too. What else, Lance? What are your thoughts on all this that I said? Was there anything that I said that it sparked or like some like traumatic memories about things that happened during the Attitude Era that you?
No, it just not traumatic. I mean, it did make me realize that is bad, even though at the time I either liked it or just didn't mind it, or just didn't care, because at the time I wasn't really privy to a lot of things in wrestling. You know what I mean? So yeah, but like I said, I have gone back and watched some things from the Attitude Era, and they're just not as good as I remember. Even cringy sometimes.
Yeah. Can you give us an example?
Honestly, some of The Rock's promos, they're not all as great as I remember, because I mean when his music hit, I already bought into whatever was about to happen. I was already saying, okay, this is going to be one of the best segments in wrestling history ever.
Yeah.
I was that far gone, but I look back now and not everything was that great. But even if it was bad, he was still able to pull it off naturally, which is what is missing in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
As far as promos go.
Yeah. There's some wrestlers I've noticed that are better than others of doing the scripted segments and being able to still pass off as authentic.
Yeah.
LA Knight's one of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's times where I've wondered if all of his stuff was scripted. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Although I imagine once you get to the top, you get more say.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Rock, one thing that he has said many times is that I guess one of the things that makes a good promo is being able to be yourself and not being able and not forcing it. Because one thing he's brought up is that when he was first brought in, he was forced to be this like smiling, happy, kissing babies baby face. And that just didn't work for him. It wasn't natural for him. That's not who he is. He doesn't smile all the time. He doesn't, and he was finally able to kind of go out there and be himself. And he said another thing he said is that The Rock is him with the volume turned up. And I think it's that for a lot of guys. I think it was like that for Stone Cold and for Triple H. And I think that's why their promos were so natural and they just flowed. These guys that are being handed these scripts, a lot of them, it's just not natural for them to say the things they're saying or act the way they're supposed to act. So, and I think that's hurting the business, and I think it's hurting them. I think it's hurting the talent because they're not being given a chance to develop into themselves.
I've heard some pretty bad promos in my lifetime, though. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they need to be scripted.
Well, again, if you have a guy that just cannot do it, then either put somebody in that can or give him a manager to talk for him or something. Brock Lesnar still has that. Brock Lesnar should never hold a mic.
Actually, when Brock Lesnar did his face run, he did pretty good on the mic.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He did like this country guy face run. And he even had like a Stone Cold kind of moment. He had some kind of tractor thing and like lifted up the ring while Roman Reigns was in it and threw him out of the ring. And he was looked like he was having a blast being himself.
There you go, being himself instead of being the next big thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So yeah, I could see that if they let him be himself, then yeah, maybe you could do it.
So is CM Punk coming back Saturday, Mar?
I'm leaning towards yes. Despite the history, it's about money, and I know I go there a lot saying if the money's there, it's going to happen. But that's just how it is. If they think they're going to make a lot of money on this, if they think a lot of people are going to buy the pay-per-view, well, I don't know. You don't really do that at WWE anymore, do you? You don't really buy it. You have everybody subscribe.
They
to
have
Peacock.
modern technology, Lance. They're not using 1980s technology where you have to call your cable provider.
All right. So, okay. Well, I'll put it like this. If they think more people's going to watch Raw and SmackDown following Survivor Series, they'll do it. and I think more people will watch if he's on. So.
Definitely.
Until he pisses somebody off and then he's gone again.
I'm cautious.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not really. If it happens, it happens. I don't care either way. But I mean, if you're holding the gun to my head, maybe. I'm leaning towards yes.
Well, got anything else, Lance?
I think that's going to wrap it up. I think I like these shorter episodes.
Yeah, I think they go well.
Yeah, they flow a little bit better and they're more natural.
Yeah,
we're not out here.
Doesn't sound like we're scripted.
Yeah. Oh man! All right, so you got anything else before we?
No, we should close it out.
All right. Well, Survivor Series is tomorrow night, and I guess we'll probably bitch about that next week. So.
Yeah.
All right, man. Until then, later on.